I'm so excited to be here today to introduce everyone to Samantha Haynes. Sam has been selected as a National Institute for the Study of Transfer Students Transfer Student Ambassador and will be sharing her transfer story with us today. Sam, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Yeah, so in order to begin our conversation, I'd love to just give you a chance to introduce yourself. So can you start just by telling us a little bit about yourself and your background?
Yeah, so my name is Sam Haynes, as Shannon previously mentioned. I actually just graduated this past December from Rider University studying computer science and math. I transferred to Rider from Bucks County Community College in Newtown, Pennsylvania back in 2021 with a math degree. And I currently just started my full-time job at Lockheed Martin as an associate software engineer.
Yeah, that is so exciting. Congratulations, on your new position. That's really great to hear. So before we start to talk about your transfer journey specifically, are there any fun facts or tidbits that you want to share with us about yourself?
I guess one of the most, iconic facts about me, I am a twin, and my twin does have a 2-year-old now, so I feel like both an aunt and a mother at the same time, which is really silly and really funny, because we kind of want to try and see if the child thinks I'm the mom because we look so alike. So that's always a funny thing to talk about.
Yeah, oh, that's so fun. I can imagine from the child's perspective, that would be kind of confusing, but also like great to have an extended family like that.
Oh yeah, it's super exciting to kind of see how he'll grow up and how that perspective changes over time too, because we've never seen it before.
Yeah, fabulous. Well, thanks for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk just a little bit specifically about your college experience. Where did you first begin college and what was your experience like there?
Yeah, so back in 2017, I first went to Lebanon Valley College in Annville, Pennsylvania. The experience was good academically, but financially it was very troubling. So I wound up having to drop out after that first semester because about 2 weeks before the semester ended, I was notified that I owed $5,000 to the institution, and I
Mhm.
couldn't really pull that together before registration started, so I did have to drop out of there. So it was a little hard navigating, but also harder having to leave without any other options.
Yeah, definitely. Was there anyone that you were able to talk to at the institution about the financial challenges you were facing, or at the time, did you feel like you had to kind of navigate that on your own?
So there was a financial advisor that notified me and talked to me about a couple of different options I could have taken, but due to the financial situation of my family, those options were kind of impossible at the time.
Got it. Yeah. So after you withdrew, and you kind of took some time, at what point did you decide that you wanted to transfer to another institution?
Yeah, so the moment I dropped out, I knew I wanted to go back. The main question was really just when and where and how,
Mhm.
to put myself in a position where I didn't have to drop out again. So I think about a year after working full time and then getting my license and kind of becoming more put together, I figured community college was the best start just because of the financial situation. It was 20 minutes away from home and I could still work full time and support myself during that transition.
Yeah, great. So you decided then that you wanted to go to community college. So what community college did you enroll in at that time?
Yeah, so I did go to Bucks County Community College. I was a math education major back at LVC. So I figured just jump right into math and play around with a couple of things and see how it goes and how I can progress.
When you enrolled in the community college, were you still thinking you wanted to pursue education, or had you already started to think that you wanted to go in a different direction?
So by that time, I already knew I wanted to go in a different direction. I was programming different light and sound boards for different concerts and performances during that math transition, and it actually sparked my curiosity for technology as well.
Yeah, that's so great. So were there any factors that influenced your decision um, to enroll at the community college? And then kind of with that in mind, when did you start thinking about transferring to your final institution, if that makes sense?
Yeah, so one of the main factors, of course, was finances. Just for my background and having to drop out only due to the finances, that was probably on the top of my list. The second thing was opportunity and, being able to make connections and build relationships. which I think is also really important for transfer students because we could be coming in at any point in life.
Mhm.
I actually heard about the transfer trustee scholarship at Rider University, and I was able to work with Jennifer Cook, who was the director of transfer admission at the time, and she was able to actually make the process seamless, and she was able to work with financial aid with my extended time at Rider to offer me full tuition for that entire time. So that was a really big deciding factor.
Yeah, that's amazing. Is she the one that initially introduced you to that opportunity, or where did you first hear about that scholarship?
Yeah, so Rider Admissions did send me out a letter about that scholarship, but I also joined an honor society for community college students called Phi Theta Kappa. They
Mhm.
actually introduced me to that scholarship and a bunch of other ones. So on top of Rider's Transfer Trustee Scholarship, I also got another full tuition scholarship for any in-state Pennsylvania school through PTK. So they're a really, really good resource for any kind of scholarship opportunity for transfers.
Yeah, that's great. PTK is a wonderful organization, so I'm glad you were
Mhm.
able to participate.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, so was there anyone in your life at the time who helped you to navigate the transfer process?
So mostly it was kind of independent.
Mhm.
My mom was a very big supporter during that time, so she really made sure I was staying on track and like supporting me when I was in those really, really busy times. But I think Jennifer Cook was also probably the most, impactful person to have guided me on that transfer journey, just because I had no idea what I was doing. I was really kind of winging it and just trying to find a way to afford to go. And then once it came down to finally evaluating credits and that whole process and switching majors, um, Jen Cook connected me with the right people, and I was able to get as many credits transferred over as possible.
Great. Did you earn an associate's degree at the community college, or how long were you at that community college for?
Yeah, so I was in community college for the full 2 years.
Mhm.
I got my Associates of Science in Mathematics.
Okay, perfect. Um, Great. So once you decided that you were ready to transfer, so I'm guessing that was probably as you knew you were coming up on graduation for the associate's degree, how much time did it take you to select Rider University? Like, was that something that you decided on pretty early in your time, or did it take a few semesters to kind of get to that point?
Yeah, so deciding to go to Rider kind of hit me in my last semester. When I first started Bucks, I was thinking I was going to go to Westchester the entire time, and the goal was to earn full tuition to Westchester. But as soon as I got that information and I connected with the staff and the faculty at Rider more, that place felt more like home than Westchester ever did. They treated me more like a person than opposed to the number, which I see as a problem in a lot of bigger schools. So having that intricate personalization and that support was really helpful, and it kind of really pushed me to decide there. So really it took about, I would say, like 3 4 months, just because I had to navigate the whole process and get all of that transfer requirement stuff done.
Right, of course. Did you visit Rider University before you submitted the application, or were these interactions taking place like virtually or over email?
Yeah, so this was entirely virtual. I graduated in the spring of 2021, so I was graduating right smack in the middle of the pandemic. So there wasn't really an opportunity to visit until a minute student stay later in that spring. But at that point, I already had my decision.
Got it. Yeah, that's helpful. Um, okay, so you talked a lot about the factors that have influenced your choice to attend Rider. So finances, also the way in which they connected with you and made you feel as though you had a meaningful kind of place in their community. Were there
Mhm.
any other factors that impacted your decision, such as like the location or the academic offerings, peers, anything like that that could have influenced your decision?
Yeah, so academic offerings, of course, are a really big influencer. I want to make sure I'm getting a well-rounded education and I'm getting prepared to step into the real world. I think location was a luxury just because it was 15 minutes away and I was more than ready to kind of move out. And then another thing is just the level of opportunity that the institution has. So Ryder does have a really good career services organization, and they really pushed me to get a lot of internships and research publication opportunity.
That's wonderful. Those are all important experiences.
Mm.
So it sounds like you had really positive interactions with Rider University, but did you face any challenges throughout your transfer process that you want to share with us today?
Yeah, so Just entirely just trying to figure out a schedule was really hard, mainly because at this point in my life, I was fully supporting myself.
Mm.
So I needed to make sure I could still make the amount of money I needed to live while also, getting through classes and making sure I can go into the limited scheduling just because they're a smaller institution. Another thing is just familial guidance. So my dad did pass away the second semester I transferred into Rider. And because of my scholarship, I did need to meet a certain GPA.
Mm.
So navigating that and making sure I wasn't falling behind was really hard during this process. But Rider was really helpful in adjusting to that and making sure I propelled throughout that situation.
Yeah, I'm so sorry to hear about that loss. That must have been so challenging while also trying to stay in school.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely a big fear of having to drop out again, but thank goodness I had the resources that I had at the time.
Yeah, no, it sounds like you had a really positive experience at Rider University overall.
Hmm.
Um, how was the transfer credit process for you? Did your credits transfer fairly seamlessly? Can you talk a little bit about that?
So the transfer credit transition process was pretty easy. It was a little more difficult on my end just because I was switching majors from mathematics to computer science. Luckily, math and computer science are intertwined, so I was able to get some of my core computer science classes knocked out. With some of the computer science electives I took at Bucks, or some of the foundational mathematics that I needed for the major. I also picked up a math minor to allow more credits to transfer over, and I also really liked math still. But any credits that didn't really transfer over to like a gen ed major minor track, they were able to still transfer over as general credits towards your entire rider experience. So I was still able to rack up the credit requirements, which was really helpful.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, so at this point, I'm curious to know what was the best resource for you during the transfer process?
Yeah, so I think Phi Theta Kappa was the most helpful resource that I've had just because they introduced me to that next level opportunity. But also just being able to get mentorship through Rider was super helpful. So I connected with a lot of different mentors and peers at the Women's Leadership Council at Rider University. And they really helped me figure out that I needed to take initiative. I needed to connect to different campus resources. And that ultimately propelled me like throughout my transfer journey. So asking questions was really, really important.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Great. Well, this has all been so helpful to hear and really great to hear that you had a positive transfer experience once you were kind of enrolling at Rider. I would love to hear a little bit more specifically about your experience at Rider University. So, in thinking about the transition from the community college to Rider, were you nervous or excited about anything in particular as you were kind of first starting your semester?
Yeah, I was very excited to be able to go back to a 4-year university and kind of get to that next chapter. But
Mhm.
I was absolutely terrified of having to drop out again and just terrified about getting internships and different opportunities because I was transitioning into a different field upon my junior year.
Right.
So that was a very big concern that I had of mine.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Okay, so my next question is, what have been some of the best and worst parts about being a transfer student?
So I'm gonna start off with the worst parts first and then kind of move on to the best. So I think some of the worst parts is just that culture shift, just because you're a little older and especially during orientation processes, you kind of feel a little out of place just because a lot of people you are grouped out with are fresh out of high school. So that was a little bit of a culture shift for me. And
Mhm.
it took a little longer for me to feel comfortable once I got back to in-person education. Um, I think the best parts were really just being able to take time and figure out what you want to do. I think that extra time to just sit back, work, gain experience, and kind of move forward was super helpful. And in combination with that, build those foundational skills for you to take advantage of every opportunity that you could have at the university, as opposed to trying to figure everything out all at once when you're starting as a first year freshman.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you're saying that like kind of by taking time away from school, working for a little bit, then returning, you felt that you were in like this position in terms of your own growth and development that you were ready to take advantage of resources. Does that sound right?
Yeah, I don't think I would have been able to do something like that if I continued to push through as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that makes so much sense. Okay, so in reflecting on your overall experience, is there anything that you wish you had known before you transferred?
So before I transferred, I guess I wish I would have known about scholarship opportunities earlier. I think, as soon as you start community college, I think those resources should kind of be shoved in your face a little bit just so you can take the time to figure it out. Because I really figured it out, starting the end of fall, my last year at community college. So it was a little stressful. And I just, knowing all these different transfer resources earlier, and having those advertised more would be really helpful, mainly just because as a transfer student, I feel like a lot of us are kind of figuring it out as we go.
Mhm.
So being able to know those kind of resources off the bat, kind of how people who freshly start college do, would be really helpful.
Yeah, absolutely. Access to information is so important so that you can navigate that process. Okay, so at this point, is there anything that I did not ask today that you would like to share about your story?
Yeah, so I'd love to talk about my internal writer experience and kind of that growth I've experienced during that time. So basically, once I transferred to Writer, they provided a lot of different transfer-friendly resources for me that really helped propel my success path. So I was able to get 2 internships with IBM within my first couple of years. I was able to get 2 AI publications, and then I was able to connect with so many different peers and mentors that were so open to my kind of path and my unconventional story, that it led me up to 2 full-time Fortune 500 offers, which was really, really exciting.
Yeah.
So it kind of just goes to show, like, even if you feel like you're behind and starting late, there's still so many different opportunities that you can take advantage of, and you can ask a bunch of different questions and connect with people to kind of make sure you're propelling yourself in that way, which I thought was really exciting. And I didn't really know that when I first started. So that was super helpful for me.
Yeah, that's so great to hear. And I mean, you had really amazing opportunities. And I think it also goes to show how hard you worked throughout your time in college to be able to take advantage of these resources and really excel in your academics. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you
It's
so
really
much.
something to be proud of.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah. So I actually do have another question
Yeah.
that we didn't touch on. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about the social aspect of your time at Ryder and maybe
Mm.
like, did you feel as though you were able to build community among peers, or what did that experience look like for you?
Yeah, so what was really nice is that Ryder at the time when I first started had a little session during Welcome Week that connected commuters with commuters. So I was actually able to meet a small group of transfer students that also commuted during that time. So we kind of helped each other through that. What's also really great is that there's plenty of opportunity to build clubs and organizations that you'd like and get involved because Ryder has so many clubs and organizations. And being such a small school, it's really easy to kind of get that social life that you want. So basically, when I first went to that commuter welcome session, I noticed there wasn't one for transfers at the time. So I took initiative and I created a transfer student club, an organization on campus called the Transfer Student Association. And we actually had our first transfer welcome during Welcome Week. And we
Oh,
helped during spring transfer orientations as well to connect transfers with transfers and provide like a little transfer checklist so they can start taking advantage of opportunities. I also got really involved on campus anyway. I was in the Women's Leadership Council. I participated in different research opportunities. I also helped out with like the math club, Active Minds, and a whole bunch of other different small events that they have every weekend. So it's really, really easy to get involved. And I found like my social life was really, really empowered and it felt very comfortable for me.
yeah, that's amazing. And the advocacy that you had for other transfer students to be able to create that organization is so wonderful. I'm sure many students will benefit from that moving forward. So that's really great.
Thanks. Yeah, I'm really excited about it. I hope it continues to kind of propel in the direction that it is because it has been blowing up over the past year, which I was so happy about.
Yeah, that's so great. Okay, so I asked the majority of my questions, but I guess at this point, just as we're kind of signing off, do you have any like advice that you would want to give to future students as they're navigating the transfer process?
Okay. So yeah, I kind of touched on this a little bit before, but my main piece of advice is to ask questions and get involved. I don't think I would have been able to propel as much as I have or get the opportunities I have if I didn't actually take that initiative, broke out of my shell, and ask questions. Also, go for every opportunity that you have, right? Or anything you're interested in. My mentor from the Women's Council once told me out of every rejection you could get for any internship, job, or even like club initiation opportunity, there could be that one opportunity that pops up that could change the trajectory of your life. And that's kind of what happened to me. So really just go out there, get involved, and ask the questions that you need to without feeling nervous about any kind of judgment.
Yeah, that's such amazing advice. Thank you so much.